David Festa's shoulder is telling him that his season is over, which reminds us, if he's healthy going into next season, he might make a pretty good reliever. And you know who could use a bullpen? The Twins. Let's build one right after we get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team every day. Don't forget, hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer who prefers comic relief to actual relief because bullpens are way too unpredictable. I'm also a BBWA member and a Hall of Fame voter. Voted for Billy Wagner, actually, and would vote for Joe Nathan if I had a chance. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warne, who's standing sentry all along the watchtower because he can't get no relief. Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both. You can find Brandon's written work at Access Twins newsletter, and you can find mine on Pitcher List. I should probably get that right. On this podcast, the Keith Meister making surgeries. David Festa is done for the season, which gets us thinking about what his role might be and what everyone's role might be in the new Twins bullpen. So we'll look at who's there, who could be a free agent, who might be a trade candidate, and we'll try and construct the Twins bullpen. It's probably a pointless gesture based on poll ads and so forth, but whatever. But first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. It's like tomorrow. So visit FanDuel, the app, today and start planning your futures bets now because tomorrow the future is not the future anymore. It's the present. So, Brandon, do you want to build a Minnesota Twins bullpen? I've got some guys. I'm looking at my mock-up here, and it's good to be mocked. It includes Justin Topa and Cole Sands. I saw you tweet the other day that you're like, just Topa back and everyone else can go, but I think Cole Sands maybe should stay as well. And I've got Cody Funderburk in the bullpen. I'm encouraged by how he's pitching. Got Kendry Rojas, who's in AAA right now, starting as a possible relief pitcher. I've got Connor Prelip as three lefties. I got Funderburk, Rojas, and Prelip. Rocco's going to go nuts. Mackey. Oh, we got lefties in the bullpen. We have so many. It's like 2 years ago when that worked out. And I've got SWR in the bullpen and a couple of guys from outside the organization that I'm going to save for a big surprise or whatever. So, I mean, it's not certainly that's not a bunch of sure things in the bullpen. I do have the Twins making a trade and going after a free agent reliever. I think there's one among all of the free agent relievers who is best suited for the Twins, mostly because he probably won't cost that much money. He's not that old. Mm-hmm. Should I reveal it now, or do you want to say something before we get into my bullpen wish list?
Well, I just want to say, do you want to build a bullpen? That's kind of the angle I think you were going for.
Yeah. Didn't I? I said that already.
I don't know if you sang it, though. That's the thing. Yeah, I think.
Well, no, I didn't sing it.
Topa, Sands, Funderburk.
I'm going to sing pretty soon here.
Yeah, I'm on board with all those guys coming back. Fundy, too. Yeah. Tonkin, I don't know. I mean, if you bring him back as hangs on your 40-man over the offseason, I have to check if I don't know if he's a free agent this offseason. He might have finally accrued the necessary time.
It's a slow boat.
But either way, yeah, we'll just on the list right now. Thomas Hatch. I think the what is the phrase? The bloom is off the rose there.
The rose, yeah.
Has
he been giving up runs? Yeah, I suppose he has.
Noah Davis does nothing for me. I tweeted that yesterday.
No.
I don't see it. I don't know if he's got like a high carry fastball that we're just not seeing work or what, because usually when Derek Falvey likes a pitcher, there's something you can kind of see there. Travis Adams, he'll be in the mix. If he's their long reliever next year, I think you can have a good bullpen with him in that spot. Genesis Cabrera, I want to believe because the stuff is electric, but he can't locate it, and when he does, it gets smoked. Someone else might.
Who does that sound like? Who does that sound? It sounds like a lot of guys, but it sounds like Alcala.
Yeah, I feel like you don't want. I mean, he's not even 29 yet, and yet at the same time, it's like a lefty who has those pitches. He should be better. Brooks Kriske, he can. I have no interest in Brooks Kriske whatsoever. So you are talking about a wide open bullpen, other than 2.5. I mean, Fundy's been good, but it's not like his secondary numbers are not as supportive of his overall well-being pitching wise.
Yeah.
So there's some former 15th rounders. So there might be something there, as our friend Greg Masterson would say. But yeah, really only those three guys. And then are you making fun of my Greg quote?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so in the rotation right now, Simeon Woods Richardson, I could see being a bullpen option. And then you laid it out pretty well. I feel like Festa, the shoulder thing may hasten that exit from the rotation. And also too, just their outright depth. And again, like you said, this exercise could be semi-pointless because you might end up subtracting 40% of this starting rotation this offseason, to which, yeah, maybe then David Festa gets a longer look or someone else, or Connor Prelip. But I was discussing this on Twitter this morning. There are enough pieces in place with a couple additions that you could have a pretty solid bullpen going into next year. You may not feel that confident about it going into the season. And maybe too, with how built the bullpen was to start this season, you've got kind of that dissonance there where, good is going to seem like not as good when it's up against something that was that great. So it's my long-winded way of saying I agree. I think guys like Pearson Ole could factor in. They're going to have a lot to sort out. And I kind of see why people are like, okay, well, if you're trying to sort all this out, why are you looking at Thomas Hatch instead of Pearson Ole? Or why are you looking at Brooks Kriske, who's almost 32? I get that. So this is my long-winded way of saying I think the bullpen can be decent to maybe even good next year, but it's going to take quite a bit of effort.
We haven't heard about exactly what the visit to Keith Meister, that's Dr. Keith Meister to you, the Keith Meister down in Dallas for Festa has, what kind of fruit is going to be born from that. But whenever you're going to visit Keith Meister, I'm actually quite concerned. I think, we talked about, well, does it make sense for Festa to be a relief pitcher if his shoulder's like this? Well, is he fixing for shoulder surgery? Because Keith, it's probably 50-50 at this point when you go see somebody like that. Usually not usually, but very often that's how it ends up. And that's something that would potentially knock him out for the season. Also longer and make him less effective. This shoulders can be the ruination of a pitcher when they're bad. So I'm concerned I'm not being a concerned troll. I'm very concerned for Festa's future right now. I hope it's good news from Meister, but we don't know yet.
Well, and it could go a lot of ways where it's all rest this off season and then, pop in Grapefruit League play and you lose that season, and shoulders are tricky. They can be to the ruination of not only seasons, but careers. So not to be, such Debbie Downers, but that's why pitchers are so here today, gone tomorrow, and especially relievers. And I'm not saying here today, gone tomorrow because Derek Falvey's going to trade all of them, but because, we've even seen Louis Varland has had some issues, some bumpy roads. Griffin Jacks loaded the bases in Tuesday night's game before Garrett Clevenger came in and saved him. It's been a wild adventure for the guys the Twins have traded. And so to build a bullpen, you have to bake in that instability to that equation. And so I think, and we'll talk about this here in a little bit, there'll be external additions. There'll be possibly trades. If you know anything about Falvey lately, obviously trades will be in that conversation as well. But I'm eager to share with you my list of reliever free agent targets, because I think it's going to touch a certain type of Twins fan, and then everyone else might hate it.
Are they all Caleb Thielbar?
Isn't Caleb Thielbar just the friends we made along the way?
Hey, speaking of friends, we want to say hello to our friends in the commercial land. And then when we do that, we'll get to Brandon's friend list.
It almost sounded like you said Brandon is friendless, which I'm not arguing that. But this episode today brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. And actually, it will pay off. You and I and Mr. Dave Brown make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means you're cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your hot takes into hot prizes like cash, and all in less than 60 seconds. Less time than it takes to brew your coffee in the morning, take a shower, brush your teeth if you're doing it right. You can do it pretty fast, less than this commercial even. And it also helps you keep you locked in for the season. It may not be season long. I've been working on my season long rosters, but Prize Picks allows you to go week to week, day to day, and play different games that you like. It's quick, easy. And honestly, again, it helps follow along with football so well. You're starting to wonder who the backup running back is in Washington or the starting quarterback in Cleveland, because I'm trying to figure that out myself. But again, you check the projections. You might get like more than or less than 270 passing yards for Josh Allen, or more than or less than 1 rushing touchdown for Saquon Barkley. Those are the kinds of odds you can play more or less than on, and watch your winnings roll in. Download the Prize Pick app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB, and you'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 loan up. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineup after your first $5 play. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. I say it's good to be right, like I would have any idea. But the NFL season is almost here, and also FanDuel wants to make sure that you are ready for kickoff with this can't-miss offer. This is the best offer I have ever seen from FanDuel, because right now, new customers can bet $5. That's just $5. It's cheaper than a Subway sandwich. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I've seen 100, I've seen 150, I've seen 200, I've seen 250, but I've never seen 300. And I love using FanDuel because it fits how I like to lay down action. You got player props, you can do same game parlays, or just jump in on the live action if you got a feeling that something's going to happen after halftime and we're coming into the break, and you get to watch Terry Bradshaw stumble over his words like I'm doing right now. If you think you got a hunch on something, get in on that live action. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet, and $300 in bonus bets awaits you.
Locked On Twins, we're trying to settle the Twins bullpen for 2026, which it's only September 3rd, 2025. So maybe we're a little early, but you never can plan far enough ahead, I think. What do you think the plan's going to be for SWR? Are they going to keep him starting for a little while longer? And if he does go to the bullpen, it's going to be, well, out of necessity at some point next season? Or do we begin a transition to the bullpen? Do you think his stuff plays better in relief? I'm not sure that it does, but it seems like in a plurality of his starts, he starts out really good and then kind of against the wall second time through.
Because it's a little Louis Varland-esque. He's not as like homer prone as Varland, but when he unravels or when the bloom is off the rose, as we've already said, it does kind of go sideways. I'll try not to use it again. When the bloom is off the onion. I think that it might just depend on the abundance / overabundance of starting pitching, and if they feel they have enough. If again they keep Pablo, if they keep Joe Ryan, and maybe even depending on what they do with Bailey Ober, the rotation could swing a lot of different ways, and maybe too they sign somebody there. But I think based on skill set and just kind of what I see from him in short bursts. I think he's got the moxie, the look of a guy who can really, shove it down people's throats for an inning or two at a time. I think there's a really good reliever here, but I'm not 100% out on the starter. So I think what'll probably happen is, he comes to camp as a starter, which Louis Varland did. I don't think he did this year, but he definitely did last year, right? Like, I think this year it was reliever and reliever only,
yes.
But it was like, they'll do it where you can always return a guy from the starter to a reliever. Then you can't go reliever to starter as easily due to lengthening guys out and stuff. Especially when guys don't have options, all that mumbo jumbo. So long way of saying, I think SWR goes to spring as a starter. If they've got 5 guys they really like more than him, and I'd say there's 50% chance of that happening, then I think he hangs as a reliever. He does have an option left, so they could send him out if they used him as a reliever and wanted to lengthen him back out. So there's some fluidity here. But for my money, especially with the question marks in the bullpen, I'd really like to see him maybe be the 7th inning guy 8 months from now, when they're well into the 2026 season and those bullpen roles are kind of becoming defined. I think SWR has the look. I think he has the stuff, the ability to be a strong late inning reliever. Not out on him as a starter by any means, but I think that's where it's headed.
So I've got a couple of guys who I think would make good additions to the bullpen. One would be a free agent. One would be a trade. You can go over your list in a second. I think the guy they should sign and could sign, and it's a reasonable ask this offseason, is Brad Keller.
Okay.
He's 30 years old. He's got a lot of red in the StatCast. He's really grown into the relief role with the Cubs. It's the kind of guy that you've seen hit the waiver wire before and designated for assignment and that kind of thing. So Ronnie Enriquez comes to mind too as a guy who left and has kind of had a good season with Miami. But I think Brad Keller would be a guy. They need some velocity, and he's not super high leverage with the Cubs. At least I haven't noticed that. But he's not. He's kind of like Cole Sands in that he gets those sort of assignments. I give him a 3-year deal, sure.
There's with opt-outs or just straight up 3?
No, I give him a 3-year deal. I think that I would imagine that's.
I'm sorry, what? I'm doing the Greg Masterson bit, 3 years plus opt-outs with opt-outs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I agree. And I think too, there is room for some revisionist history. Not that it's necessarily making a good point, but knowing what you know now, it'd be nice to have Ronnie Enriquez. It'd be nice to have Brent Hedrick, who's had some moments with the Yankees this year. There are some guys, even now, you're giving left-handed Jorge Alcala a spin. You could have given right-handed Jorge Alcala a spin again, too. I think Genesis Cabrera in a lot of ways is left-handed Jorge Alcala. Throws the crap out of the ball, but just it's not. When it's perfect, you've got a solid middle reliever, but you need it to be perfect for anything to be even remotely effective. I'm trying to think of if there's any other guys. You see the old heads pining for, Caleb Thielbar would have been great this year. Shut up. If you were in a coma for the entire 2024 season, perhaps. But I'm trying to think, are there any other youngish guys? Enriquez, stands out probably the most. And other than
it would be nice though, Brandon, if they had decided to go with Hedrick instead of Funderburk. That would have been nice. I thought at the time that might have been a mistake, and it appears that it was. But maybe I don't have all the facts.
With Fundy, you got sinker, slider. He's going to hopefully get some grounders. There's definitely it's a tough decision, but I think the Yankees have Hedrick throwing, quite hard too. Like I don't know if his velocity's jumped, and maybe too he really just didn't get the chance to show what he could do as a reliever in medium to long-term usage with the Twins to get a feel for where that velocity would set in. But between him and Enriquez, the two H's, and even Michael Hellman hit a homer the other night too. And it's like, man,
no, we don't miss Michael Hellman.
No, but I'm saying knowing what we know now as far as roster stuff, it feels so weird that they were bursting at the seams with guys, younger talents that they could let go, and now they're just grasping onto whoever comes into their universe. It's wild how 6-7 months can change your outlook.
Chris Paddock has been sent to the bullpen by the Tigers. Have they no patience?
He got crushed.
I'm half kidding.
He got crushed in the bullpen in his first outing too, because it was Sawyer Gibson Long who got beat up, and he's a former Twins prospect, and then Bailey Horn, and then Paddock. And it was a tough day at the yard for some former Twins.
Paddock said afterwards, he's like, this season's been really mentally tough on me. And I believe it, but I would have thought that last year would have been worse. But it's so I don't know what his near future looks like, but it's, we talk about the success stories of the guys that have left, but that appears to be a really good trade in the making for the Twins. The way Jimenez is hitting it's an A ball, but looks really good.
I mean, if he's even a backup catcher, that's a nice trade, Falvey.
Right. Hey, the other guy, before we take our break, and we'll get into your wonderful list in the next segment. A guy I'd like him to trade for is Victor Vodnik of the Rockies. Right? I'd like to steal him from the Rockies. A lot of times the Rockies don't know what's going on, and you can just kind of take a player from their roster and they don't even realize it. Another velocity guy. If you had Keller and Vodnik, you'd have some good right-handed velocity at the end of a bullpen.
Doesn't give up
getting out of Colorado too is I didn't hear that, Brandon. Go ahead.
Shocking lack of home runs for a Colorado pitcher. That's actually actually really solid.
So Keller and Vodnik are the guys. I also like John Gray, maybe more as a starter, but at this point in his life, maybe it's time for the bullpen. But that's a guy that you could have some options with if you sign him, and then maybe move an SWR to things of that nature. Crab Rangoon. So that's my wish list for the Twins coming into the offseason. As far as the relief pitchers go.
Why don't we take our last break, and then I'll share my wish list, because it's let's just say this. I've definitely got a type. So we'll talk about that here when we come back. Hey, Locked On Twins fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Well, stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play Store right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code SEASON, like it's almost football season, and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it is totally legit. Real people getting real money, getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can as well. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or get an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Do not let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code SEASON for a limited time 25-cent per gallon bonus. That's promo code SEASON. Now, there is a disclaimer. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Locked On Twins is back for our final segment, September 3rd. 2025. I was almost going to say 19 something, so that's where my head's at.
1990.
Hey, before we get into the rest of the show, we want to make sure that you're subscribed to Locked On Twins, because that way you don't miss any of the great Twins content we've got for you. That includes the Twins postcast with Luke Inman, typically live after the final out of every game. You get 2 shows for the price of one that way, and it's actually everything's free, so there's no price. And if you watched or listened to the last one after that game against the White Sox, you're a brave Twins fan. There was a quote from Rocco. I didn't have a chance to see that much of the game yesterday. I was actually thank you. Rocco said, usually I try to stay optimistic, but that really wasn't very good. What was he talking about? What was so bad about that game other than losing by 9 to the White Sox?
Yeah, I mean, everything spiraled. There were bad base running decisions. Austin Martin ran into an out on the bases at third on a sac fly that just really didn't make any sense. Some defensive miscues. The bats just weren't there. And I think just the general malaise of being dominated that much by a White Sox team that's still, 10 games behind them in the standings, all things considered. And it's the third time this year that they've lost by at least 8 runs to this White Sox team. And again, I'll concede this White Sox team a lot more interesting now than they were a year ago at this time or even the beginning of this year. Colson Montgomery finally didn't homer against the Twins. He was the first player to ever homer in their first 4 games against the Twins of their career. So fun fact right there. But it just was it was an abomination for the eyeballs and the earballs, and fans deserved and do deserve much better.
I got my earballs right here. Brandon, what's on your list for the Twins as far as free agents, trades, that sort of thing?
Well, it's multifaceted, but I also appeal to the sensibilities of a certain ownership group and fan base. They're going to need to do things moving forward to get fans back, right? We've talked about Joe Ryan and an extension. That would be a nice way for fans to say, hey, they want to keep some of these guys here. That would be great. And we're not going to trade Pablo Lopez. Well, if you're going to rebuild a bullpen on the fly, and you're going to have to do it probably pretty cheaply, right? They're not going to spend a ton of money on relievers, which, don't get me wrong, I endorse that. So Caleb Thielbar could come back. Danny Coulombe could come back. Both of those guys should be available on reasonable one-year deals. Again, if you're not going to spend money, this is kind of what you get. However, also, both of the Rogers brothers are free agents. It would be really cool to bring them in, and they would be both perfectly useful middle relievers. Actually, Tyler Rogers, I think, is more than that. He's kind of got that Sergio Romo late inning soft tossing sidearmer guy vibe. But if you're talking about the Twins and how they've operated, not only at large, but since this deadline, they're going to go cheap with the bullpen. They're going to want to figure out young guys, and then they're going to want to identify, the next Brock Stewart. I think bringing back some guys from the past, Tyler Rogers, probably still going to get paid, so I would say he's the least likely of them. But a little bit of PR bump from some familiar guys, bringing back some old friends. I think you can do worse than that. There are certainly other guys I find marginally interesting, but if I'm focusing in on who I would really want to target, and I know this is remembering some guys, bringing back some guys, a plea to the old heads who only remember 87 and 91. I think you can build a pretty good bullpen by bringing back some guys who've been Twins in the past.
Right. I don't know. We still don't know what the deal is with payroll. Like, is it going to be $100 million? Is it going to be something, even a bigger cut than what we've been used to? It would make sense to maybe spend a little money on a free agent reliever, but I think also, they've done a pretty good job of finding guys, and there's probably somebody that we haven't mentioned who has really good stuff and throws a slider, most likely.
What about Liam Hendricks? Speaking of former Twins, I think he might be finished.
No, we don't want to bring back like guys who intentionally bring back guys with horrendous recent injury histories. That's a very Dodgers thing, Brandon. We're not the Dodgers.
I mean, Hunter Harvey's going to be out there. Michael Kopech,
he's always hurt.
Been hurt, always hurt. There are going to be.
Kopech has been great with the Dodgers. My only worry would be, what if he's away from the Dodgers? Does he because he wasn't? He had some he had some good stuff with the White Sox, but they didn't.
What about Devin Williams?
That the Dodgers did.
Devin
Williams would be expensive. Devin Williams is
even after. I think he's going to want
because if you look at his secondary numbers, his ERA is out of whack.
He's having a Griffin Jack season,
kind of. And there's also, a lot is going to happen between now and the end of the season. Guys, if Devin Williams puts on a good closing finish for the Yankees, has some good games in the playoffs, that stuff's forgotten. If the stuff is still there, the bouts with inconsistency and all that's forgotten. So
that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, he depending on the market, he might have to sign something incentive laden or a 1-year deal or something like that. I mean, if it's a 1-year deal, maybe that gets them back in the game. So, I don't know. I'm getting back to Festa. I hope the Keith Meister stuff is, he just sort of looks in there and says, this is just, we need to rest. I think that's going to be the big news this week before Pablo comes back against the Royals.
Saturday, right?
I think so. So cross your fingers for David Festa. And we want to tell you that it's another big moment on Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. So it's a nice mix of local, regional, international superstars, a college football preview that only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season. So that's going to be tomorrow, only on Fire TV.
Fire.
Brandon, fire it. Fire the Twins bullpen. Fire it.
Yeah.
All right. So for my friend Brandon Warne, this is Dave Brown wishing you all a very pleasant good evening, saying we will Alexei Casilla. Santiago Casilla is a relief pitcher, though.
Yes.
So maybe we'll see him tomorrow night.
He used to be Jairo Garcia, wasn't he?
Yeah. But Santiago Casilla was better. He was with the Giants, and it was pretty good for like half a year. Jairo.